Hey y'all, this is Cody with Just Push Print, also known as JPP, coming at you with another live stream, just a kind of a chill hangout session tonight, and I'll be joined by a special guest. Y'all might know him. If not, y'all need to check out his channel. This is Killer Prince.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
And he builds quite a few different stuff. He just got done with a live stream series doing a box turtle, which is kind of like one of the popular hot topic things at the moment.
Yeah.
I see we got Kegel out there, 3DMT Printing Dave, and Keela, Miss Lee Marie. And then Jose popped in earlier.
Yeah, we got Ten Talon in there too.
Ten Talon popping in.
Yeah, I don't know that I've seen that name before. That's pretty cool.
It's good seeing. I know folks turned some of their notifications on and stuff. Some of them came in earlier when it was first set for 4, and then got a little bit confused when the time changed. So it just folks be coming in a few minutes and so.
Hell yeah.
But do you want to go ahead and talk about your channel a little bit while folks are coming in? And I know other than the live streams and stuff, what kind of stuff are you do on your channel?
So I really just kind of started my channel. I've only been going for about 5 or 6 weeks now. And I started off with a first look at the Mellow M1, which is kind of a little bit of a foldable printer, like the Positron, right? You could put it in a small case. So I kicked it off with one of those. I was able to get my hands on one of those early. And so I took the time to just live stream. I thought it was cool, and I figured I would share. From there, we looked at that thing, I think, twice. We did a little bit of a rebuild on the Positron, and then dove into a box turtle build. And that's kind of what we're wrapping up on the channel right now. For me, it's an outlet to be able to kind of stay on task and accomplish projects, because it's too easy to not do those things and focus on other stuff. But pure joy comes from finishing things and having them work. So this is my way of doing that, and that's what I share on the channel. I don't do open box reviews and that kind of thing. I'm not some huge influencer streamer that gets free stuff all the time to take a look at on stream. This is legit what I do in my garage, and I figured people would want to see that, and maybe we could talk about some ways to get around challenges and whatnot.
Awesome.
So that's it, man.
That's what my similar goals for why I'm doing what I'm doing is some of the same stuff. Is I'm interested in custom projects and stuff. Taking a lot of the printers and stuff that I got is stuff that I picked up secondhand off of Marketplace, and there's they might not be the newest hot stuff or whatever, but advantage of stuff that's been out for a while is open-minded as a lot of the folks are in the community. Just about any of the older printers is going to have upgrades that folks have put out, printable or even aftermarket parts and stuff, to where you can not necessarily convert it, which there's a bunch of conversion kits as well, but you can upgrade it yourself. And by doing the work yourself, you know what's in it, versus just getting something that's more appliance like, that you just push print on it, but then if something goes wrong, you don't know why, other than to call up support, and you might be waiting a month.
Yeah, for sure. So what's the newest thing that you got from Facebook Marketplace or what have you that you've been able to add to the channel?
That would be what's right behind me over here, the Sovol SV08. We literally just picked that up last weekend. Did the live stream unveiling it like literally the day that we got it, and I've actually been using that printer more since we've got it than any of the other printers in here. Which that already, I was lucky enough, it came with a couple of upgrades to start with, the Micro Swiss hot end for one, and it has an actual Voron PEI bed sheet instead of the like whatever their coating is of the factory sheets and stuff. But
Yeah.
still, there's still room for improvement, of course.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm seeing some other stuff over there behind you. What is all that?
And then over on this side over here in the back corner, not quite hiding, is a Chitty X Plus 3 that has a printed top hat on it, and that's going to be after Remurf, but that's a project that's going to be we're going to be overhauling that with a aftermarket community-based conversion kit for it that changes the gantry and stuff up, quite a few different things. It's called the gantry setup, I think, is called Orion, so it's going to be like a space themed type project. And then
Cool.
Last week we did a little short overview about the Chitty Plus 4 and the an issue that I found with the lock nuts not actually locking, but the automatic bed leveling mesh stuff is so good compensating. I didn't even realize that it was getting loose, and I'd probably put 50 hours of print time on that printer, and then someone told me about the nuts, went to check it, and then it was about to fall off. I was like, well, I was glad to check out, or I was glad to find out. I see Dave out there talking about, I like my big printers, cannot lie, Anaconda. That's just true. I ain't even talked about the Ender 5 pluses and stuff that's on the other side, the project wall. But we got 2 Ender 5 pluses going to be doing, as far as I'm aware, the first his and hers build off challenge videos with me and Melissa both building a Mercury conversion on the Ender 5 pluses.
Yeah. So when you talk about conversion, what do you mean?
For those that ain't aware of what the Mercury 1 is it's a conversion kit to take the Ender 5, which is a regular traditional Cartesian style printer setup, and turn it into a Core XY printer. And it's loosely based on or like compatible with some of the Voron mods that are out there as well. See Dan popping in out there in the chat.
Yeah, we got quite a few people in chat. No, but that Mercury is pretty cool, man. I think I had told you before. I picked up, kind of like you do, a couple of Ender 5s off of eBay actually that were used, and I got the pair of them for a good deal. I think $300 for both of them, and this was probably 5 years ago, so they were worth it at the time. I don't know now that that's a good deal, but back then it was. And I was planning to do the same thing and convert them over to Mercuries. But work got in the way, life got busy. I never really got around to doing it. And so they just kind of sat. And then when I moved out here to California last summer, I just didn't have space to take them with me. So I ended up kind of giving them away and whatnot. So I never got around to building a Mercury. So for you then, what is the drive to build the Mercury? What draws you to that project to where you want to build an Ender 5 version of that? I'm sorry, Ender 5 Max version of that.
And actually, the Mercury is one of the things that caught my attention of getting into 3D print. When I was first actually starting to get my first printer and stuff was probably about 6 months after the Mercury was like out of beta. And so I had been watching folks build it and stuff, and specifically remember Digital Dragon's video where he had actually showed the enclosure before it was available. And one of the printers that I happened to see when I was looking on Marketplace trying to see what was around here was an Ender 5. So that's what led to that. And I don't have it here at the moment because someone else is babysitting it for right now, but I actually do have a Ender 5 Pro that is a Mercury. And so I actually had the Mercury printer before I had the big boy Ender 5s. So
Okay.
I was able to print with it, and it was like I enjoyed the speeds of it. Then compared to coming from like a old school CR10 Ender 3 style bed slinger printer. Like
Yeah.
that was that. Even though it's not a Core XY, it's still that same type where you have the bed moving on your Z axis and the print head just moves in your X and Y instead of the bed slinger style printers.
Mm-hmm.
But that Mercury had a couple of issues. It was not completely finished when I had got it, and so I ran it more than I should have without having proper belt tensioners and ate the belts up until it finally did a layer shift from one corner of the bed to the other. I said, yep, it's time to not use that.
Hey, that's exactly why they make more belt, man. You can always go get more. I don't know about you, but I buy belt in bulk. So I'll buy it 10 meters at a time, 20 meters at a time off of AliExpress or wherever makes the most sense at the time for cost wise. And I'll buy it in bulk because we talked about this before stream a little bit. But for those in chat, there are roughly 20 printers to my left over here, and they go through a lot of maintenance. So there's grease and belts and bearings and all kinds of things that you need to keep in stock when you run so many machines.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I was talking a little bit before stream about some of my observations in the community overall, and there being a large like sense of complacency in folks, both new to printing folks and some of the people that is a little bit more experienced, to kind of just let it be. If it's good enough to print, just print with it, and then if it ain't broke, don't fix it type of thing. But a lot of folks don't think of or overlook the tiny bit of maintenance things until they end up having a big issue.
Yeah, it's so on that point, like I think for me, I will have it working and it'll be printing just fine. And then an upgrade will come out and be like, oh, I want to do that thing. And so I'll go get a bunch of parts, do it. I'll get about halfway through, go back to work, get super busy and that kind of thing. And then either forget where I am, lose the parts, or get disinterested and kind of just transfer over to another machine. So I think that's probably the downside of having so many, is that you're constantly working on one or the other, and none of them are ever online all at the same time.
Yeah, that's very true. And I'll say, like, all the fancy printers and all that stuff, conversions, this and that, and all that kind of stuff that I was talking about, and it's still the old trusty CR10 V2 that I gave to Melissa that does the most printing in here.
That's funny.
That's what she says. She says it works. Why do I want? I've been trying to talk her into doing the linear rail sport. She's like, it works. Why do I want to put something else on? I finally did talk her into. We did do a direct drive extruder on it. Put the Sprite extruder. I need to do a better video on it because we just straight up bolted it on. All I did was take the stock bracket for the Sprite that it comes with and took a file and widened the screw hole and literally just screwed it on to the stock fan shroud.
That's a good idea. That's a great idea, man.
Where a lot of the things online on Amazon and Creality themselves don't necessarily say that it's compatible with the CR10 2S, whatever. They got so many different letters and variations and stuff. But yeah, it's straight up. Put it right on. The wires was long enough to reach to the board and everything else without needing an extension.
Man. So how do you stay on track with all of your projects to where you actually get them completed? Like what advice would you give to the rest of us that have trouble with that on that struggle bus?
I would say if you find out, let me know. Because that's kind of the problem I was gonna add on to earlier. I'm similar to you. I kind of just started the channel, still new to it, but like I mentioned, I look on Marketplace and this and that. So I'm kind of more not quite addicted to the searching for the stuff, but same thing. If you're looking and come across something, there's sometimes it's like it's too good of a deal not to get it. And then same thing, like you said, there's okay, I got, for example, the Ender 5 S1, the one we just put the enclosure and stuff on. Printing with it and it's good or whatever, and then I'll find out, okay, they got this thing for it. So I'll go down the whole rabbit hole researching, okay, there's such and such mod, what other mods is to that, what parts is needed for that, what can those parts be used to do something else, because I already know if I'm going to do something, I'm going to change it again. So I want to be able to, what can those parts be reused for another mod, and then that just tumble rolls into another printer. So that's why a lot of the stuff is I've slowed myself down since I actually started doing videos and stuff, to where I'll plan stuff out more, but I'll leave it the way it is, like with the Chitty back there, the +4. I mean, not +4, the +3. It works ish right now, so I haven't changed the stuff out to do the whole upgrade that I had mentioned, because we did talking with Melissa and stuff, decided that it's better to have at least 2 or 3 printers that we can print something off on right now if we need it, and then the rest can be in different stages of projects. So as long as I keep at least 2 or 3 printers that are available, I can have as many projects in different stages. That was our agreement.
Yeah, so I think I have the same agreement with my spouse over here, who popped in just a minute ago. As long as I can continue to keep her stocked with seasonal items that she can decorate around the house with, she doesn't care what I break. So yeah. That is the exchange. She allows me to go off track and get all these different super cool machines, as long as I use some of them to make her stuff from time to time. But I think for me, over the last probably 3 years, almost 3 years now, is my Bamboo has been the workhorse that I haven't broken yet. And that's only because you can't disassemble it and upgrade it and things like that. Like, it's the only lockdown machine that I have, and it's been my workhorse. So there's like over 4,500 hours on that thing. And it's printed parts for most of the machines that I built over there. So if it wasn't for that one machine, I probably wouldn't have any today.
Yeah, that's one good thing. Like you said, if you have a good workhorse that you can depend on, it does kind of free you up to be able to tinker a little bit, because you're not tinkering with your only printer to be able to print with.
Yeah. So I'll throw the question to you, JPP. If you had no budget, what printer would you buy today that would be your workhorse that you wouldn't mess with, and just keep it as is, let it work? What would that be?
And that answer is actually kind of easy, and that would be the same thing that I recommend to everybody at the moment, with the issues that it does have, the Chitty +4.
I think you told me that on stream a couple weeks ago.
And the reason why, there's a few different reasons to that, and I'm glad that you asked that. Number one, yes, the price is a little bit higher than just, like, say, getting a A1 Mini or a Creality, etc., etc. But for someone that's actually really wanting to get into printing, has a few projects in mind that they would like to do, and know that they're wanting to, like, something that's going to be able to do more than what they're able to do right now as they're starting out, the +4 can handle temperature-wise for any kind of filament you would want to be doing, from PLA, ABS, ASA, PETG, all the way up to your carbon fiber filaments, your PETG carbon fiber, your nylons, and even can do polycarbonate filaments as well. It has an actively heated chamber, which helps a lot with those higher temp filaments, especially like ABS, which a lot of people, if you're going to be printing parts for other printers, more than likely you're going to be wanting to print those parts in ABS or ASA, which is highly prone to warping if you don't get your settings and calibrations and all that stuff dialed in. So for folks that don't want to necessarily spend that extra time dialing it in, the chamber heater helps a lot with that. And size wise, build volume, you get more accessible build volume with the +4 than you even do with a Bamboo.
Okay.
MakerMind Nexus also, that until I had the Chitty in hand, that was my go-to recommendation, was the FlashForge Adventure 5M, and the new Centauri is a similar good budget-friendly starter printer for some of them same things. But I had someone, I think it was Thorpe, asked me. I had a couple other people ask me the same thing, of if I am going to be trying to get that new Elegoo Centauri printer to like do videos and such with, and I told them the same thing. Personally, me, I'm probably not going to get one of those printers because I have other printers that would fill that role other than just making another video content, which there's going to be hundreds of folks doing that. It doesn't really serve a purpose to me to get that particular printer when I'm more than satisfied with the Chitty or even the Sovol, that I'm going to be doing a bunch of more long-term review and updates and mods, changes, all that kind of stuff with, versus like the biggest downside, in my opinion, of why I can't just say, oh, go check out the Centauri, and number one, it's not even available yet. The price is great, but it's for a pre-order. The only people that have them is the people that was sent the early version so that they could do the content for folks. And like with the +4, and Chitty's not the only company. I mean, just about every printer brand out there is doing the same thing. And that's one of the issues that I think we as a community need to try to stop putting up with, because if the buyers show that they're not happy with it and not going to put up with it, that will change that mentality of the companies just rushing to put stuff out before it's actually ready, and making us makers actually basically fix the machines and tell them what they should have done themselves in testing.
Yeah. So what does that Chitty +4 run these days? About $800?
I believe so. Yeah, I think that they do them on sales here and there as well. Which, same thing, when you consider comparing that to something like the Bamboo, or the bigger Creality X1, or I think they got not K1. That's another thing. I'm not everything. All the names and letters and everybody always saying, okay, it's that nobody gives an actual model name no more.
Right.
Yeah, so everything just kind of like mixes together.
Yeah, it's like the iPhone 16 +4, micro or whatever. I don't understand it either. It's an Apple thing, I think.
And I come from a custom computer builder background, so I already come from an anti-Apple mentality. So Bamboo, especially taking the Apple mentality approach to printers, I was already a no Bamboos in this house type thing.
I mean, that's great, man. I go a little bit away from that. For me, it's been the one that I've gotten that I haven't had issues with. And I started with a Creality Ender 3 like most people. And I still have that machine today. It doesn't work. It never really worked all that great. Like, it was good enough for the time. But that was kind of the gateway drug to getting me all the way into where I'm at now, where I'm building, things from a CAD with no manual, and just know-how from building so many different styles of machines over the last almost 8 years now. And so I think that's probably kind of what's happening with the market that you're talking about. People are releasing a lot of things and people are buying these because they don't know any better. There's so many new people that come into the hobby every single year that they spend a lot of time on YouTube. Hey, how's this printer? Show me all the reviews for this thing. But I think there's this reviewer mentality where they get sent this thing, and a lot of them will say, hey, I am not influenced by the fact that somebody sent this to me for free. But subconsciously, you want to find the best in whatever that is because, again, it was provided to you. And I know there are some people that are more honest than others, but also I don't see any of those people putting their neck on the line and refusing the big name, flashy kind of things. So it kind of becomes a perpetual cycle where you see a lot of people that have it for 3 days. 3 days is not enough to review a printer. I'm sorry, I'll say that out loud. It's not enough time to put it through its paces and really kind of find out what is good and bad about a thing. Get a printer, hold on to it for 6 months, and then make a review about it. Let me know. So if any new folks are watching in the chat and watching on YouTube today, that's what I would recommend to you. There are some people that will go back and do videos that are titled something like, hey, Bamboo A1 Mini after 6 months, and then they'll give you their review after they've had time to use it. So anything that you see these days after that machine's been out for a couple of years at this point is probably more accurate than something that you saw when it first launched.
Yeah,
I hope that makes sense, and I'm not just rambling.
No. I'm just letting you go because, like, I would have been. You're saying everything that I was wanting to bring up anyway, so I'm just letting you and save my breath. But yeah, that 100%. Like, it's gotten to the point like where you started with talking about like newer folks don't necessarily know what they don't know because it has become commonplace, especially over the last 3 years now. Since I've been heavily paying attention to the 3D printing stuff, I've noticed it getting worse and worse in this direction. That it is. The companies are constantly trying to rush out new printers, new machines to beat out this company that's said they're going to release this machine and so they're and all of them are doing the same thing to where it is normalizing that type of operations. And say you get new folks that's coming into 3D printing because they saw a cool video on TikTok, or they saw a YouTube short and such, or they was at school and someone had a 3D printed lizard attached to their backpack or something. And like you said, you go on YouTube. Number one, if you're new, you don't know what you're going to be searching for. So you just look for 3D printing, or you might have heard someone said, hey, Bamboo printers are good, or hey, Flash Forge printers are good. Hey, Prusa's are good. So you just go search that thing and you get flooded with all of these videos of folks, especially if you're looking up something like that, like say the Centauri, which is a new printer, just insert that as example. And you just see all these videos just talk, oh, it's great. It's better than a Bamboo. Oh my God, I can't believe the price. And all your flashy, catchy terms and stuff. But same thing. All of those is just that, like you said, they might have actually been printing with it at most for a week. Because if you're the type of channel or type of creator or whatever, where you have those deals with the companies trying to get you to help do a video to promote the new thing, you're rushed on a deadline to begin with, and you're trying to beat the other people that put out their video first. Because everybody, and the same thing on the viewer or consumer side of things, you if you watch it for a little bit, you start to pick up on that, and like you said, it starts to feel a little bit disingenuous, over time after you've seen so many reviews of that same type of video style, whatever. And a lot of times it's like news stuff. You'll start to pick up on the same type of phrases and this and that they're using. That's not necessarily saying, yes, this is great, or yes, I recommend it. It's like going by off of checklists and stuff. Then you go on smaller channels and stuff, or like what, again, why I like older printers to start with. You can go pull up videos of such and such printer a year later, 6 months later, 2-year long-term review, etc. And then number one, that's been enough time for the issues when it came out to have been addressed, or if it is a new production run of that printer, it has the actual parts it should have had in that first production run. And also there's probably 1 or 2 models or generations newer. So going with the older stuff, you can get stuff that is a little bit more dependable, that you have more information and resources on, and you also usually can get a little bit better price because the newer thing is what's newer and everybody's trying to push. So the older one ends up being a little bit cheaper. And I've approached stuff that way even before I started with the printing stuff, and that's without having what we was discussing about like the printer business organization stuff of all of that, of basically you got a year's worth of public testing before you have the reliable machine. And most of the time, unless it's certain companies that are good about addressing things, most of the time that reliable printer a year later is because you've put 3 or 4 aftermarket or community-based replacements on it because the factory parts wasn't good and they didn't put out a replacement. Whether that be like a couple years ago, that would be big time stuff like auto bed leveling probes. Nowadays, there ain't hardly any printers that you get brand new that doesn't have some type of auto bed leveling.
Yeah.
And then we was talking about Bamboo and stuff. They was really good when they first came out. Now we've been 2-3 years later, all these other companies are trying to constantly, quote unquote, play catch up, while Bamboo is still the same thing that it was when it first came out.
Yeah, because it was that good when it first came out.
Being the quote unquote king of printers, if you go like searching online, whatever, go get a Bamboo, whatever. Bamboo is one of the biggest names that had a straight up faulty printer that they released that shouldn't have been released, with the bed cable catastrophe or whatever you want to call it about the heater stuff.
Yeah.
And that took a while for them to address it. So I said, it's not just company A, company B. It's like across the board. And now of course you have a couple of exceptions of some companies, actually run things the way they should be. But then if you look at those handful of companies that haven't had issues like that, they're companies that are makers that decided to start a company, not a company that most of the time the people that's actually in charge of it probably don't even use or know nothing about printers themselves. They're just, what's the bottom dollar?
For sure. And I think a lot of that is driven because we're in an influencer culture. Everything that we see, everything we consume is based on someone else's opinion and the following that they have. But I think the problem is, so they have the reach, but they don't have the depth of experience to be able to make that reach valuable. You know what I'm saying? So they may have 1 million people that follow them, but the message that they send out is not very impressive. You know what I'm saying? So they take a lot of hype, and that hype draws in eyes. It just depends on how you want to measure success. And I think for some folks, the measurement of success is the more eyeballs that look at them, the better that they are. And that's not a dig at any particular person, but just in general, I try to stay away from that kind of stuff. But we do have 13 people here, and I think 13 is kind of a magic number. And we've been talking a lot about Century Carbon, Qidi Plus 4, Bambu Lab, A1 Minis, things like that. notice there's a box like right there, just out of frame. Should we reveal that on stream today? Get the people excited? Or should we just save it for another day?
Well, I mean, you had to tease it out first, so I mean, you can't. You have to at least move the camera to show the box a little bit more if you're gonna be bringing it up. But there you go. While you're still deciding on whether you're gonna keep pulling that string and pulling that string and pulling that string, I will.
Here, we can go down one more.
Go back to what the stream was originally meant to be before everything goes off the rails too far with this being a discussion. Which, by the way, I do want to do this again. Just talk about some of the current event stuff because I said talking with your takes on stuff is very similar to what I've been thinking as well. So we'll have to do some more discussion shows as well. But anyways,
yeah, for sure.
Talking about upcoming projects on the channel here. In the corner on this side, you can see a little bit of orange and black. That is IKEA LAC enclosure that houses a Prusa Mark IIIS, something like that.
Right there. I got one right there.
Courtesy of Fabrico, I have a snake oil Prusa XY kit that I'm going to be converting that to, which is a core, which turns the bed slinging Prusa Mark III into a Core XY printer before the Core One was ever announced. And we're going to be trying to do that and get it completed before Remurf to be bringing with us to Remurf. And other than it being Fabrico sponsoring the kit, there's a couple special things about this one that we're going to be doing, including a Reaper tool head for it. Nice. APD Designs was kind enough to do a modified carriage mount for me to be able to do a Reaper tool head that I've had parts supplied thanks to Lemery 3D and some of their stuff going on. And then not necessarily going to be able to finish it by Remurf, but we're going to be working on it. That's the goal, is on the SV08 here. And no, I didn't talk her into it. She's been bugging me and asking me since we brought it home. But Melissa's wanting me to do a tool changer on the SV08. So we're going to be putting together a mixed match tool head tool changer setup for that and going through the calibrations and tuning to be able to do that to where we can later on have them all switched out to be the same hot ends and stuff like that, but using what we have on hand at the moment to, I have enough parts here to be able to do a 4 or a 5 head tool changer.
Sweet, man. That's pretty cool.
And
I have a tool changer project for the last 2 years. I haven't even started.
There you go. And I'm going to throw a banner up here. Melissa, this is another, y'all can thank her for this idea as well. But she said this morning that as soon as we reach 150 subscribers, we're going to do a giveaway that's going to be a little bit different than just a roll of filament. We're going to actually give away a poly dryer dry box.
Nice. And I think, where are you at right now as far as subscribers?
Just under 100, I believe. I have to double check.
Okay, I'm seeing 93. 93. We got to get you to 100, man.
Mine's showing 94. So
94.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Here, let me unsubscribe and resubscribe. Maybe it'll double.
Well, that's what I told her first. I was like, well, I get 100. She's like, you're too close to 100. Do 150. Make them work for it.
All right, so it looks like Sparks on Tap's going to do a 08 tool changer as well.
Awesome. Me and him have talked about a couple other projects as well, so I'm sure we'll bounce around ideas on that.
Heck yeah, man. Well, I think for me, I need to add a Reaper to my switch wire that's over there. Works just fine. Built it with a stealth burner, except the extruder I used on it is the V2X from Big Tree Tech, that CNC lightweight all-in-one extruder. It's kind of like the H2, but it's built for stealth burner and rat rig. So it's running one of those, but otherwise it's got a
picture of one of those things, but I ain't seen a video of them yet.
Oh yeah, I can throw up a photo if you want, but it's pretty cool. It's fine. It's okay. But I like the look of the Reaper.
Yes, the Reaper, I've been following that since it was still just a beta project.
Yeah.
And also haven't decided yet, but I know for sure it's not going to be part of the Remurf build, but it might be an add-on after Remurf of swapping the Reaper to the CPAP Reaper on the Prusa XY.
That'd be cool.
And I seen really cool. Earlier, Keela mentioned that we're going to get that done before they will. I'm assuming she was talking about the Reaper tool head, but there's another video that I know that y'all have mentioned on y'all's live streams that Jeremy has been beating around the bush on, that we are going to be posting this weekend, is going to be our version of the Polymaker dry box and dryer review filmed in VR.
That's cool. When you say filmed in VR, what does that mean?
Well, that's one thing. I specialize in 3D media, 3D holographic videos and pictures, 3D and 360 VR videos, and
okay.
I actually have a 360-degree 3D VR live streaming camera that has 32 individual cameras and 16 individual microphones, to where it literally picks up 360 degrees view in 3D for the depth and the individual microphones. So I could set that up at like a rep wrap and have a group hangout of makers in a VR live stream.
That is so cool, man. Is that the plan for Rocky Mountain to do that?
I don't know about Rocky Mountain, but I probably will, if I get to playing with it a little more to make sure I have all the power and stuff to work it and all that stuff, I'll be bringing it.
Okay. I hope you do, man. I hope you get the power that you need. I would love to see that thing. Yeah, this is that extruder I was talking about, if you haven't seen those. So it's just got like a little pancake thing on there. The chat is going off tonight. I love it. But yeah, that's what I'm running on my switch wire. I had to make some extra parts to utilize these mounting points here, and then be able to secure that onto the switch wire itself. But if you're looking for something for your project, like your one of your rebuilds or one of your machines that you're trying to get running, this is a good choice right here, I think. And I think it's pretty affordable still. Let's look real quick. I think it's still, it's only $45. So that's down from, it's called the BQ-H2V2X. So it's made for the Stealth Burner and the EVA print head. And you mentioned that you were building a Mercury with an EVA tool head, right? Did I hear you right?
I'm not doing the EVA tool head, but I'm...
Okay, you're doing something else.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I would say, like, for me, this one's been working great on the Stealth Burner. I've had it just kind of laying around for about a year, and I figured I would use it on that project, and yeah, it's been good. For $45, I don't know that you can beat that. It's cheaper than an Orbiter or something else that you would use.
Yeah, and I know there's a couple other drop-in BQ extruders that were pretty good as well. I think they had the H2 or something that was a drop-in direct drive upgrade for some of the like Ender 3s and older printers as well. And
yeah, it's based on
like step
it's
up.
based on that same thing there. This one's just lightweight, got smaller, a little bit smaller motor on it.
And there you go.
Yeah, dude, that's good stuff.
But yeah, I've seen y'all out there throwing out some of y'all's comments and stuff that I'm not putting on the screen right now because this isn't a late night chat. This is a daytime chat.
Daytime chat. Yeah, kids are out of school and still awake
for the next game night late night chat.
That's right. All the things that you guys are typing out, that's like the bottom of a middle school desk. We're not going to talk about that stuff. But no, I appreciate it though. It's pretty good.
Of course.
So other than buying older
one other printer that we don't currently have here, that regardless of what any of these end up making their way to Remerf, there will be a JPP Cocoa Press at Remerf.
Hell yeah.
Well, I correct that. A Mrs. JPP's Cocoa Press at Remerf.
That's right. Just in case she watches it, you got to make sure that you're paying attention.
It's like, no, that's my printer. That first, that's what you, like, this shouldn't even be here. Like, this whole thing shouldn't even be here because I had an ultimatum that was made very clear. No more printers until she has a Cocoa Press. No new printers, no buy-in printers, no nothing. And then that just happened to pop up on Facebook and was talking with Kegel. And she heard me and then asked, what is it? And then all of a sudden she was interested in that. So that is a last minute luck type of deal. But it turned out or worked out better because that, like I said, there's quite a few things we're going to be doing to that. And that's going to be one of the current content projects for the channel is working on the SVO8. And the reason I haven't done another video on the Plus 4 yet is because I'm working on what we both kind of mentioned earlier. I'm going to do my review as more of a longer term review versus just the quick overview like I mentioned in the other one or the live stream the other day. Like, I haven't printed with but like 3 or 4 different materials with it. I have quite a few more that I'm wanting to run through it. So like when folks ask, okay, how does it handle PPS? How does it handle this? I can say, okay, well, here's what I printed with that.
Heck yeah, dude. No, that's pretty awesome, man. What do you normally print with your Qidi Plus 4? You mentioned that it does a lot of different materials and whatnot. Do you run the gamut of all those kind of more industrial, harder to print type materials? And what do you print?
Actually, the main reason that I got the Plus 4 was pretty much strictly for the carbon fiber, like industrial type materials. The PET carbon fiber from Fibron being just released recently. That's the main thing that I've been printing a lot of stuff with it. But I got it again because the higher temp nozzle and the heated chamber allows for easier printing of some of those materials like your nylons, and one of the few printers off the shelf without having to add an upgraded hot end that can get hot enough to print with the PPS carbon fiber and the PPS glass fiber, etc. material.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Steve Machado says that PETG carbon fiber is interesting.
I will say one thing I mentioned on the Qidi video before, which again is not a Qidi specific or a Plus 4 specific. It is in relation to the PET carbon fiber and even the PETG stuff as well, that make sure you use something whether you use nanopolymer, whether you use glue stick, whether you use tape, etc., put something on the bed to help with the release when the print finishes. Not so much to help it stick to the bed, but otherwise, if you're using a PEI bed sheet and you don't have something to help with the release, it's going to stick so good that you risk damaging the print trying to remove it, or damaging the bed surface and peeling off some of the PEI or scraping into the bed trying to remove it.
Yeah. So what would you say your go-to is for like a bed release agent?
We've been using the sample size nanopolymer ever since last year's Rocky Mountain and been really impressed with that. Used it on PLA, used it on ABS ASA, used it with the PET carbon fiber. That's one thing, none of the printers, even with the Chitty, I've never printed anything PETG, period. I just skipped over it completely. We do a lot of PLA printing, especially she does on the CR10, and I've done some ABS and ASA printer parts and stuff. And then a lot of the projects for my other channel and stuff is in the nylon and the carbon fiber materials, which been with the Chitty, and I'm going to be doing on the Prusa XY when I get it up as well.
Okay. That's good stuff, man. Yeah, I need to. So for this Prusa that I got back here, right, this one that's here, I had planned to turn it into a bare build because that's one of more classic builds. A few years old now, and now that the Mark IV is out, you can find a Prusa Mark III for $100, $150 all day long. And I was able to get this one donated over, and I was going to do a bare build on it. So I got some stuff up here to do so, but I had forgotten that the Prusa XY was a thing. And now that you say that, I may change the project a little bit. So we'll see, man. But that's a good, interesting project that I saw a while ago and just never really considered that I would do it because I didn't own a Prusa at the time.
And that's actually another thing that I want to throw out there, which I know most of the folks in the chat has been to some type of a RepRap festival. If you are interested in printing and say like for example, the Mercury or like the Prusa XY, you see a video or of a project that is only available as a DIY type of a printer build, if you're able to go to one of those events, if that's close enough to you to be able to go to, definitely do it, because seeing some of them builds in person at them events it can either, okay, you can actually see it instead of a video. One, it'll confirm, yes, okay, I want to do this, or you might find out something about it that you don't like, or like, okay, for example, the wiring is harder, or it involves such and such to do that build that you didn't know from watching the video. You can actually physically see the printers, talk to someone that has actually built that project as well at the RepRap festivals.
Yeah.
And that was what I ended up doing with the Prusa. Was I had seen a video from Snake Oil on YouTube, and then walking around at Rocky Mountain, they had a booth in like the maker section where he had it set up, and that literally what caught my eye was I recognized that from that video and went over there and learned more about it and all of that kind of stuff, and then now here I am working on one.
Yeah. No, that's a good idea. Like, and I think a lot of that was
bananas.
Yeah.
For anyone that isn't aware, look up on YouTube from last year's Rocky Mountain Remurf 2024. There was a dude who literally built a flying gantry printer like a Voron, but instead of using motors and rails or lead screws, whatever, he straight up put 4 ducted fan electric jets from like a drone quadcopter type thing to lift the gantry up and down. And I think he ended up doing it like about 10 or 15 times throughout the weekend of straight up, like a couple minutes, full power run. You could hear it all the way across the building.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to pair up with Armchair Engineering, and they were the team. One of the guys on the team was the one that made that machine. And I'll tell you, you could hear it screaming from across the venue. It was so loud. But I was there with them, and I actually brought my LH Stinger, which is a super fast bed slinger type thing. And we had that set up too at the DFH side of the table, because he sells kits now and wasn't able to get the machine ready in time for the show. But luckily, I was bringing mine, so he offered up some space. We put it out there, and I think he sold a kit or two. So I was just happy to be wanted and to be lucky enough to get involved. But that flying printer was pretty damn cool. We had a lot of time over 2 days to just talk about some of the engineering and thought process that went behind building that thing. And you're exactly right, JPP. Going to the show and just being able to talk to folks and find out what they're working on and what their thought process is and maybe how they solved an issue can expand the mind and the thought process for yourself if you're interested in building something as well.
And it's funny, was just talking about going to the events to see projects that you're interested in, et cetera, et cetera. The Stinger is one that I've been following on videos but haven't seen in person yet, and apparently missed it at the event, or I probably seen it, just didn't realize that was yours that you had brought, because like I said, we're still pretty new to the content creator media stuff, whatever, and going to the actual events versus just, like I said, following along with builds and stuff. So if you go to one of the bigger events and it's your first time, it can be a little bit overwhelming because there is so much there to see that, and when you're not familiar with stuff, everything is just that's awesome. Oh my gosh, you go to this thing's awesome. But wait, this thing over here, that's awesome too. And you just spend the entire weekend feeling like a kid that had his first trip to the zoo or something like that.
Right.
Like. It's really eye-opening, and then, like I said, then you get to come home. You after things settle in a little bit more, then you can go through and realize, okay, this thing that I was interested in really ain't quite so amazing in person, or it might cost more or take more work or etc. Or I was interested in this one, but now I seen this project instead, and now I want to do this one instead.
For sure. No, that's a good point. And I think more for me, it was just getting to meet people for the first time. And you can put a name with a face, and you can put the person that's behind the camera, like us right now, right? Put a person that's behind the camera in reality, where you can ask questions and get one-on-one conversation, and it becomes a little more real and more human. And then not only that, like I was lucky enough to go to Reno Vice earlier this year, late last year as well. I think it was like October or something. We went out to Reno, which is only, I think, 5 hours from where I'm at right now. And so, again, another opportunity, no cameras, no influencer type stuff. It wasn't about making content. It was truly about hanging out, asking questions, getting smart on topics like input shaping and flexures in 3D printing, and a little bit of behind the scenes on how things are built and why they're built the way they are, and to be able to talk to the designers themselves. We got to learn about the history of Klipper and why things are the way things are inside Klipper. And that in and of itself was worth every minute that we got to spend over that weekend. So if you guys do get a chance, you've got to go to one of these things. I'm
interested in, to where it's more, you learn a lot more like that, like what we was talking about a newbie going into an event to be able to see some of the printers and talk to the people behind the printers and stuff in person. Me as a little bit more advanced tinkerer, whatever you want to call it. I'm more interested in some of that, like you said, some of the whys. Okay, this is built with this, but why? What led to that? Why not use this material or this motor, this bore, etc., etc.? What led to that being better? Or if it ain't better, maybe it costs less, etc., etc. And then like stuff with Clipper and stuff, I'm still kind of new to that, but there's so much opportunity that's there that 9 times out of 10 you don't never even go anywhere near that. But Clipper gives you that ability to add on different features or programs or like macros and this and that, to where all kinds of different accessories and upgrades that if you same thing, you physically install it. Most of the times you just print the mounts or some of the parts yourself and then just go in with Clipper, add such and such line, and there you go. So being able to know, like, okay, why is, like, for example, why is input shaper named input shaper, and why not name it like IS or this and that? You know, some of those intricacies is some of the stuff that I'm interested in. Like, which one thing I've been big on is like I'm naturally gifted at understanding foreign languages, so I've always been interested in like, okay, well, what's the history of such and such word, why, or like phrases, ideograms and stuff like that, different things, which English ain't the only one, of course, but like, okay, a big old saying that's not a lot of folks hear around anymore, but used to hear all the time. You'd say, who put the butter in the butterfly? Well, like literally some of that.
I've never heard that.
I would like to know.
I've never heard that. I couldn't even tell you what a butterfly is, man.
But yeah,
other than like the bug.
Yeah. Well, that's literally like talking about the word. Why is a butterfly named a butterfly? Who put the butter in butterfly? Because it ain't got nothing to do with butter. It's a bug that flies around flowers and comes from a worm. So you know. But was he wanting to mention that thing, or was he just teasing everybody?
Oh, I was teasing everybody. But we can take a look. I mean, we're down at 9 folks. I don't know that that's enough to tell everybody.
Well, now y'all making me feel weird. Dave's talking about that's the first time he's heard that. You talking about you ain't never heard that? Yes.
Well, I've never heard that phrase. I've never heard that phrase.
That is literally the history leading up to the butterfly. Is it originally was called a flutterby because it was a bug that would flutter on by, and then over time people got lazy with how they talked and this and that, and didn't feel like saying flutterby, or like someone, you know, some redneck dude, whatever, and it ended up morphing into butterfly.
Yeah. No, we can show it off. That's one of the projects. I need to, how to say this? I need to get into it. I'm holding myself back. I want to play with it. I want to mess with it. But we can do that. Let me get a better camera shot here.
I was gonna say, I ain't forcing you. We've been going for an hour. We can call it a day and say y'all wait for next time. I mean,
oh yeah, let's call it a day. How about that? Everybody in chat, too late. No, we'll show off the box, and then if you want to see it, you got to come over to the channel on Sunday. How about that?
There you go.
All right, let's do that. So this is the box, right?
I'm gonna put you a big screen. Ah, now I see why he's talking about the what's in the box. Well, there you go, Thor. Watch his video Sunday.
Play with your own time. Yeah, so I wanted to unbox it and then put it back in the box so that we can unbox it again on stream. But you guys get a little sneak peek. I promise I won't play with it, and I won't print with it or anything else. I really wanted to. I got a few projects that I'm printing for some folks for Easter and whatnot, and so it would be great to have another workhorse just pump out parts right now. But
speaking
we'll
of,
hold on.
you keep talking. You reminded me. There's a print that I finished that I do want to show that I can show.
Yeah. Show it up.
What I did with it. Oh, it's hiding on top of the.
Ryan, this box got beat up, dude. There's a gouge in it. When I picked it up off the doorstep, it was literally upside down. So literally upside down. It scraped all through. Some of the tape was ripped open, and I had seen that on other reviews as well, that people really had some damaged goods show up at the door. So I'm kind of curious. I do want to open it up and see if anything inside is damaged or broken, but up to now, I haven't done that. Yeah, that's a cool part, man. You said that's for a truck or a car?
This is it's a shroud for a doubled-in radio for a '86 Trans Am, printed out of Galaxy Black Ambrosia ASA, so it's got the little bit of the gold flake in it. Printed on the Chitty Plus 4, the overhangs and everything is nice and clean. No warping or anything. No, that came out great, man. This is what I've been doing. So I've been printing these for my daughter. So this is from Bearded Printer, and it's his Flexi Flounder or Flexi Flounder. His Flexi Flounder. Yeah, it's really cool. I've never printed anything like this before, and my daughter, my 6-year-old, asked me if I can make it for her and her friends. So I got to make 25 of these. And this is the first one. This is made from Atomic, like Sparkle Purple or something like that. And then, of course, it's multicolor. So I ran this off on the Bamboo. And this one took about 8 hours. When I first saw your short that you posted about that, I wasn't sure if the eyes were printed or if you glued on googly eyes. No, they're printed. I thought about doing googly eyes, though. I think there's an option. So he has 3 different variants, one for multi-material, multicolor, and then he has another option where you can just glue the parts on. And I thought about just gluing on googly eyes. It would give it a little bit more uniqueness. It would. A floppy beard print, that would be pretty cool. I don't know if he does, but I want to say that he needs to. And I want to say I was looking on his page because me and Melissa just subscribed to his Things thing and was going through his catalog of member prints. That's what she's been printing the most the last couple weeks is Bearded Printer's Fat Floppy Dragon. I haven't seen that one, but I'll check it out. I guess Stephen Machado is saying that autistic kids love these. I agree with you. When I was at my previous location, so I lived in Oklahoma before living here, I printed a lot of this floppy stuff. There was an agency that deals with that kind of stuff, and the lady reached out to me. I was running a small side hustle out there, and she reached out to me and see if we could work together to make a lot of tactile type things. And I think I printed over the course of 4 or 5 months, like 500 different floppy flexi type things for her. And I want to say she called it fidget therapy. And that was my good deed while I was out there last year, was to help out that program. So I agree with you, man. They do love that kind of stuff. And tracking 3D&T on the recode of the Nano, I do that every probably 10 prints or so. I'll put a little more on there. And then I'll probably wash it, I think, once a month. I'll do maintenance on the machine, and that includes washing and recoding the bed. For those interested, there is the link to Bearded Printer's Floppy Fat Dragon. or Fat Floppy Dragon.
That Floppy Dragon. Yeah, this one is on printables. I can't drop a link, but if you wanted to, it would be on printables. It may be on things as well. I don't know. This I got mine from printables
because we downloaded it to
Fat Floppy Dragon. Okay.
His
oh yeah,
member.
I gotta print some of these.
And any of these flexi things, but I found especially that dragon one, because it has the extra bumps and stuff from the horns, looks really, really good printing it in any of the multicolor silks, either the dual color or the tricolor, like from King Rune and some of the other people that do the 3-color in one.
Yeah,
it comes out.
Yeah, I got
really
some
nice.
of that up there.
But like any of them floppy things that like open up like that look really good in them multicolored filaments. Yeah, his French fries.
Pineapple French fries. I haven't seen that one either, Kilo, but I need to. I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, well, I got that pulled up here. Hold on, because I joked with her because the way it's not a pineapple French fry. But the colors that she printed it in, and the first time that she showed it on the live stream, when it opens up and it's just them flexi pieces folded up, it looks like French fries sticking out of a McDonald's French fry box.
Good stuff. Yeah, they were giving me crap a couple of weeks ago on stream that I should print more things that are not functional. And so I'm trying to do some of that, get fun, and print some things. They had the chat. Kilo specifically had a lot of good ideas to print these, and then my concern was, well, what do I do with all the things that I print? Like, what am I going to do with this? I don't need this for anything. But they had a good point that there are children's hospitals in the area, maybe some adoption centers. Therapy type people might take it or whatever, and I was like, yeah, that's a good point. I'll look into some of that. And I did find a place that would take these, so I've been using some of my firepower over there to make non-functional stuff that other people can enjoy.
There you go. That is one thing that I do want to mention to folks too, that a lot of folks don't think about is in your local area, if you are wanting to do something like useful with your printers instead of just constantly printing knickknacks that you end up tossing in the corner or whatever, reach out to therapy centers, like you said, children's divisions of hospitals, elderly divisions of hospitals, even elderly care centers and stuff like that, because a lot of the common and popular fidgety type toy prints really do help folks that have sensory issues, or like even with like elderly folks that might have some not quite dementia or whatever, but like, you know, need a little help staying in the now type of thing. Any of them movable, twisty, clicky, any of them type of sensory prints make a big difference. Same thing. I forgot who you said had mentioned it. Someone mentioned folks with autism. It's great for anybody that is on any level of the autism spectrum, from low to extremely sensitive. Even and some of them folks, they do better with the tactile, feeling it, stuff that has different textures. 3D prints, you can have all different kinds of textures, or no top layer and just exposed infill, or people do better with sounds, the different clicky type fidgets, or even like just the filament rattling back and forth. All of those helps folks, not just like stress relievers for us.
Yeah, you mentioned the clicky type things. So so Ludo, who you can get through ForgeCore on things, Ludo is Ludo. They do a lot of those clicky fidget type things. One of the coolest ones I saw was a deviled egg. and it has like a keyboard clicky key inside of it, and you can just sit there and click that thing. That's probably the next non-functional thing I want to print is some of those clicky items. But there's a sushi one. There's like there's a deviled egg.
The clicky deviled egg.
Yeah, I mean they're really cool, man. But he does a lot of those. What are they, like little flexi lizards and those kinds of things, like a crab and whatever. But there's an avocado, a deviled egg, sushi. There's a lot of that kind of stuff. A coffee cup. So I think I'm gonna print some of those, kind of give those away to kids.
There is a small flexi fidgety type print that I'm printing. I'm going to start out with printing 50 of them. It's going to become a signature that I bring with me to events for after parties. And if you get one, you're special.
That's cool. I just want to print the egg one and then swap it at the next barbecue and see who picks up on it.
Yes, that too. I think I have one in this bag while I was talking about it.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I think the last one.
You can probably guess what the special trait is to earn one.
Okay. Yeah, I think the last little fun kind of prank that we did at the barbecue is somebody brought in like whipped cream and strawberries or whatever, but we swapped a couple of them with mayonnaise and strawberries.
No, that is bad.
That was a hoot. That was so much fun to see people just get completely grossed out. Well, that's the kind of stuff that we do at work, and I love it, man. It's so much fun. Yeah, that looks like a Ludo type thing. What is that, an elephant? Pink elephant?
Yes, a little pink elephant.
That's cool. You should just leave that randomly around.
That's it. That's exactly what it is for after parties at events. People that have gotten a little bit too tipsy, you'll start seeing little pink elephants.
Yeah. No, somebody in the chat said that too. Is like just leave them laying in random places. I think Ryan said something about that. Did it by accident on the corn cob. I don't understand the ducks on Jeeps thing. Steven's talking about like people leaving random ducks on Jeeps. I don't get it. I don't know why that's a thing. The last cruise. No, I don't know. So the last cruise I did, there were random ducks on the cruise as well.
But yeah, it literally started with one girl. Like one girl, like I want to say like from the Midwest, like Kansas, Iowa area or something like that. During COVID, she just took it upon herself. She likes Jeeps and whatever, and people couldn't get out and go do stuff. So when she would go to the grocery store or whatever, and she would see a nice off-road Jeep, whatever, because people wasn't going to car meets and all that stuff, and she started putting ducks on it with a little note. And it started as a joke between her and her sister, because like they went in some store or whatever it was, and they just like randomly had a sale on like rubber ducks by like the bag full or whatever. And she's like, you should go put that on that Jeep because you're always talking about I like that Jeep or I like this Jeep and whatever. And so she did. She tried to run over there and sneak and put it on there, but someone seen her, and then they posted it online. And so she started doing that just herself, going and doing it. She started leaving a note with it, like an anonymous note, like this is a nice Jeep, you know, you've been ducked, whatever. And it just, internet took it by storm, and it became a in real life viral thing.
Yeah. That's really cool though. That's the kind of stuff that I really like, man. I think a lot of that is with 3D printing too. We may not put ducks around and whatever, but
3D&T was saying, thanks for looking that up on Google and not knowing it by memory.
He's like, hey, ChatGPT, what is this thing about? No, but that's really cool. I think we have something similar in this community as well, with the crazy things that we print and kind of give them away. And we donate a lot of our time, a lot of our effort to the community, and we all tend to benefit from that. Good example, your Prusa Core XY conversion. those kinds of things to breathe new life into old projects, that's somebody's passion project that they release for free and asked for nothing in return for their time. So that's why I really like hanging out with 3D print people. It sounds like G
Yeah,
people are kind of the same.
yeah, I can agree with that too. That that's one thing that I like about the 3D printing community as well is the, like you said, the openness of open source in general, you know, freely sharing ideas to whether you got this project or even, okay, this dude has a project, but I come up with something that can improve that and add to it. And then you can talk to the actual folks that did it. And then whether or not, and more times than not, you can actually end up being involved in the official project as well if like your part is good enough. Then everybody, yeah, sure. Well, of course, there's exceptions to everything. Anytime you say all, always, any, never, whatever, that you're always wrong. But for the most part, most folks in the 3D printing stuff is, you know, open to and happy to give credit where credit is due. You have
3D and T nailed it. Open source forever.
Like steal stuff and whatever, but that's anywhere. So like I said, there's a lot less of that in the 3D printing stuff because everybody calls people out when they start doing that because it is such a close-knit group that is based on that openness.
Yeah, for sure.
And talking about the poker chips, you was talking about the trinkets and giveaways and stuff like that. As makers, the maker chips the last couple of years have become a much bigger hot topic than I would have ever expected. And it's funny, it's funny and annoying and awesome at the same time. Because, like I said, I started out on YouTube a few years ago in a different YouTube type community thing, whatever. And I had already said, like, even 4 years ago when I was starting, I was like, okay, I'm already doing the 3D and VR stuff to do something different. You know, I want to get custom poker chips to give out as my business cards. And then flash forward a couple years, high-end boutique businesses at events that I was going to started having custom-made clay poker chips that they would hand out as their business cards. And then the very first 3D printing event that I went to, everybody is doing 3D printed maker chip poker chip stuff to hand out. So I was like, well, that's pretty cool.
Have you seen the ones that have like an NFC chip inside of it?
Yes.
You kind of pause it halfway, slip the NFC thing in there, and that way when you scan it or whatever, it'll take you to someone's like Instagram or to their Facebook page or to their YouTube channel, so you can see all the work that they do. And it's kind of serves as a super fancy poker chip kind of thing. So not only is there a QR code on the one side and then their logo or whatever on the other, but you get that NFC that'll take you to all of the stuff where you can see their actual work. I thought that was pretty cool.
Especially like as for being a YouTuber, content creator, etc., trying to like tell someone, okay, well, what's your channel, this and that? Well, here, just scan it. You know, tap your phone on it and it pulls it right up. The NFC stuff is really big on stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's an open source AMS project that can read NFC chips too. I've seen some stuff on that. There's a GitHub project where you can add an open source AMS like RFID reader.
Yeah, I've seen a couple things on that too, but I don't remember the name of the GitHub. But
oh man, yeah, it escapes me right now.
One thing where someone, which I'm sure there's other people working on it too or whatever, but that someone had cracked the actual Bamboo RFID tag things too.
Yeah, I saw that. But no, it's just a matter of time, man. You give people enough time and enough skill, they'll break through anything.
Yeah, literally anything, as long as it is a downloaded, like
Yes.
physically local software, it will be cracked eventually. It's just a matter of time.
Okay. Yeah, Stephen Machado saying open AMS, and it allows you to use bamboo filaments. Non-bamboo filaments with RFID. Yeah, I think that is what I'm talking about. I don't remember the name of it though.
And that sounds like the one that I was thinking of remembering,
Yeah.
where it wasn't so much of like cracking the code to use them in other things and read it, whatever, but it was for like what he said, being able to use third party RFID tags with the AMS bamboo scanning system. But same thing.
Yeah.
The technology to do that is like so easy and relatively cheap nowadays that there's nothing keeping like open source DIY folks from doing something like that. And the DIY and open source stuff, you don't got to worry about patents, doing it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Patents is only important if you're trying to sell something.
Yeah. Yeah. Steven's talking about waiting for RFID on the box turtle before you build one. The cool thing about the box turtle, Steven, is that you can just rebuild it because it is open source and it's customizable. RFID gains me nothing. I customize all my profiles anyway for each and every printer that I own and for most of the filaments that I commonly use. So RFID doesn't really gain me anything other than kind of a preloaded setting so that the printer knows what it is. You still have to select the correct one in the slicer. So for me, I don't really see a need to have RFID in the AMS. JPP, what do you think?
I mean, it could be helpful. The way that I see it being the most useful use case scenario is someone that is already, in depth into tracking stuff, using something like the Spoolman add-on in Clipper and Mainsail, where you're already keeping track of your spools and stuff like that. Otherwise, it's just like what 3D&T mentioned, the convenience of it scanning that, okay, it's this filament, load this profile settings for it automatically, and then the printer being able to double check, okay, you slice this for ABS, but you've got PLA loaded, and stop those little headaches. But as a overall, like, everybody type thing, I don't think it's something that everybody needs to worry about. But again, the technology is there to be able to make it an option.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm cool. I don't have really a problem with it per se, as long as it doesn't add costs to the filament. I'm not really care if it's on there or not. But if it's adding an extra $1 to the filament, I'd rather not have it and save that $1 for something else.
And see, the way I'm seeing it in my picture scenario being useful or whatever is not even bothering it coming from the filament manufacturer at all. And then you just slapping an RFID sticker on it that you can program yourself with the information you want it to have, the manufacturer name, the material type, the color of the material, like what Stephen Machado mentioned. If it could recognize the color as well as the material for, like, say you're doing a multicolor print, or even like where he said endless spool option, say, okay, I'm printing in green. That green runs out. I've got a roll of green loaded and a roll of red loaded in my multi-spool system. It automatically starts feeding the green back in.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I have an infinite spool system up here. I want to say,
but again, there's other ways to accomplish that task as well without needing the RFID. It just could make it a little bit more easy.
Yeah.
But again, that involves doing the tuning and the setup stuff for that. For, okay, if you're going to slap the sticker on, you got to have your own, database list of what what those codes are and stuff to put that into, say, Clipper or whatever you're running the stuff off of.
Yeah, I think for me, instead of doing all that and having a separate program and a separate list, I'd rather just put all that info into the slicer itself and just save it there. And then if I'm continually using the same, to use your example, green, I'm not worried about putting a new sticker on every time.
Yeah. And that same thing, that
know.
would be more for someone that, like, not quite a print farm, but definitely would be useful for a print farm scenario, but like a hobbyist that has multiple printers that is printing, like, okay, say these printers usually do PLA, these ones is doing drone parts out of PETG or lightweight ABS, etc., and you've got bunches of spools that you're constantly have out using, swapping between this printer, that printer, whatever, to keep track of. But again, there's so many other ways to keep track of all them things. That's just adding another layer to it.
Yeah. And when time is money, I don't need extra layers.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's like I said, like, in my opinion, it needs to be something that is more in the makerspace type of thing, and not something that manufacturers need to, like, add as a standard feature, adding, like you said, adding extra cost and all that other stuff to it. But having the option for folks that might want to do a setup like that would be good, but not making everybody have to pay for that just to get their filament when they're never going to use an RFID.
Yes, we all both lack money and time. Yes.
Well, it used to be the saying that my dad and uncles used to always say is, get your kids into racing and they'll never have money for drugs. It's pretty much now just get into printing, and same thing.
Yeah, I used to say, feed my daughter Diet Coke and Twinkies and she'll never be kidnapped.
Well, I don't know about that nowadays. That might be someone's pick of the litter there.
You're right. It could be. It could be.
But yeah, I think this has been a very good chat with you, and I appreciate you coming on the show. I'd like to do some future just straight up chatting videos like this, talking about some of the other topics. This was one of the types of live streams I was planning on starting on the channel. It just ended up happening kind of organically here, but one of the shows that we've been talking about scheduling that I ain't decided on a date yet is just a straight up roundtable type discussion show where we talk about some of the, not necessarily current events or stuff like that, or like where we brought up stuff that is like stuff that's just coming out now. We brought up stuff that was older projects that's the other thing that I've noticed with the 3D printing stuff too. We talked about there's so many with the whole open source mentality of things, there's so many projects, mods, upgrades, conversions, etc. that's out there. People might talk about it for 3 or 4 months when it's like new, but after it's been out for a while, people are talking about this other project or this other printer. And folks that have, like, for example, a Prusa Mark III that don't know about the Prusa XY, or like the number of different kits and stuff for converting an old Ender 3 or a CR10 to a Core XY, or taking 2 Ender 3s and building one printer out of it. That's all that kind of just different information that new folks and even folks that have been into the stuff might not be aware of to just bring up and talk about.
Yeah, for sure, man. I wish that, talking about Mark IIIs real quick, I wish that Prusa would sell sort of like sub kits or sub assemblies. So I should be able to go and get like an extruder and then go and buy like a Core 1 frame and then take my old Mark III and use those parts to put it on that frame, and then I can add my own control board, because I'm probably not going to be able to get a buddy board that works on that kind of system, and I can't use the Mark III one. So maybe I throw a Manta in there instead. But that's what I would really like for them to do, is just sell those sub-assemblies like that and let me Frankenstein my own thing. If that were offered, I'd probably be on board with it.
And it's funny that you mentioned that, because that was one thing in specific that kept bugging me when the Mark IV first came out. I was like, they all talk about open source this and all this other stuff, and they started the reliable printer coming from a maker person in the first place, and we like the community and all the support that you don't get from such and such other companies. But like you said, you can't just go buy that next extruder if you just wanted the next extruder to put on, like you said, put on a Frankenstein project, or even say put it on a Mark III, for example, which is what I had at the time when I was thinking about it. Yeah. And the same thing, that can go for just about it. Insert company name, part name here. It's kind of common amongst the whole industry type of thing like that, for even companies that are more open source than others still has things that they only want to offer it this way, like that. You want to get the next extruder, you got to get a Mark 3.9 kit or a whole Mark 4 thing. You can't just buy it by itself.
Right. And Steven's got a good point. Like, you can go from a Mark 3 to a Mark 4, and then you can upgrade the Mark 4 to the Core 1. But that's just a more expensive way to do it. It would be more cost effective just to get the Core 1 kit for $949 and start fresh. Sell off your Mark 3 for $150 or $200 or whatever your market can sustain, and then put that back into the Core 1, and that'll lower that cost. That's what I would do. I wouldn't go from a 3 all the way to a Core 1. It wouldn't make financial sense.
Yeah.
But somebody's going to want your old Mark III. Probably somebody that's brand new, that is familiar with the Prusa name, and maybe they'll buy it from you.
And that was literally, that Prusa Mark III was literally the first printer I ever bought, and one of the only ones I actually bought outright cash on Marketplace and not trades, etc. I might have printed 3 things successfully on that printer, and I've had it for over a year and a half now. The CR10 that I got right after that is still printing continuously now, 2 years later. And that one, I think I paid $100. I paid $700 for the Mark III.
Yeah, this one, it was gifted to me. So that one was free. I have not printed anything. I think I updated the firmware on it to get it to the most current thing for the, it's a 3S Plus. So it's got the newest firmware possible on it, and I haven't used it for anything. I probably should, but I so much want to just convert it that I haven't spent the time.
And now granted, I'm pretty sure it's literally just needs a new hot end thermistor, but I mean, it don't work, so why not just turn it into something new now?
Right, and then you can customize it and you don't have to worry about it at all.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but no, man, got that Mark III project. There's, I got to finish the Doron Velta. That'll probably be a stream in the future. We still got the Box Turtle on deck on my channel. I think I'm gonna flex and probably play with that Centauri over there on this next one. And then there's a tool changer over there. There's a rat rig over there I need to do. So the list is kind of full, a little bit all over the place. And then there's plenty of fodder to make a conversion or something. I think off stream, you and I were talking about an Ender 6. Still on the fence with that one, to be honest, but that's an option as well. Yeah, that guy.
That was picked up right after I had that first Mercury that has been chilling over at Dan's house now for a little bit, and got it, started doing the calibration and stuff to try to print on. And now, for folks that don't know, the Ender 6 was a factory Core XY printer from Creality, but it's like the older generation of printers. It comes with a Bowden extruder. The bed is cantilevered, and there is no bed probe. It just has like an end stop screw that it touches off on behind the bed that you have to adjust to try to get your offset.
Yeah, very much like an Ender 5. And then something else too on it is like the X, the Y, and the Z all use V wheels. So there's no rails on it either. And I don't know about you for your Ender 6, but mine was such a pain to get perfect. And the bed level never really stayed level because it is cantilever. So the more weight, when I would print something large, the more weight that I got, it would tend to flex that bed down in the front.
But luckily, they're, again, talking about being an older printer that's been not quite discontinued, but it's been surpassed by many, many other models now. You can pick one up relatively cheap, and there's multiple third-party conversions, upgrades, mods available to improve what Creality should have done if they would have kept, like, okay, here's an Ender 6 V2, et cetera, instead of just like stopping.
Right. Yeah, I've converted mine to linear rail on the X and the Y. The Z is stock, and then I put it's got a Mosquito on it, and a BL Touch on it. Imagine that, and it runs Clipper.
And there you go. And that is one thing I wanted to mention, since I had mentioned in the description and stuff of picking your brain from your experience and stuff on different builds. Have you just a minute, let me make sure I say the name right.
It's the internet. You got to be right, or people are going to roast you.
And of course, that ain't. But anyways, have you heard of? It's called X slides or S slides or something like that. But essentially, yes, where it's a alternative to a linear rail, to where it encloses around the extrusion on all four sides with smaller wheels than the V wheels.
I have seen that. I have a kit over here. So I had a custom built CR10 where it was basically a CR10 frame and then a lot of like sheet metal parts to hold it together. So it was super rigid, and it was a bed slinger. I intended to make it fast before Stinger was a thing, but the bed on that thing was probably 5 pounds. And it didn't work as much as I thought it would. So I was just going to take it back to more of a stock machine, 60 millimeters per second type thing. And I got some of those exo slides for it. They had a kit at the time for a CR10. And so I got the kit, but then like most things, didn't get around to it. And before I knew it, somebody wanted to buy the machine off me, and I just sold the machine off. But I think I still do have the exo slides.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've kind of been researching and looking into for a little while now that not a lot of folks have put out content on or builds. Most of the videos that I did find on it is a little bit older and stuff, but it does look like something worth trying to see if it is a viable budget option for. And same thing like we talked, say like the Ender 6 example. Say I decide to go with the exo slides instead of linear rails to start with. I can always take them off and install linear rails later on if I wanted to. That's part of the modularity of customizing 3D printers.
Yeah, you
Like, you
absolutely could. The biggest challenge with the ExoSlide is making the mount so that the bed or whatever you're trying to attach to it can attach. So you need a little bit of CAD skill if something doesn't exist already out there. And that could be a barrier to entry for a lot of folks.
yeah, that's true. That's what, with them not being a really popular option, there's not a lot of folks that have modeled pieces for them.
Right.
But it is also something that shouldn't be too difficult to CAD up, being that you have a standard format of what those ExoSlides have for mounting points, for same, no different than like making a tool head mount for such and such carriage. You already know what you got to work with.
Right. And Ryan's got a good point too. Linear rails are pretty cheap. You can get them for about $20 per rail, or 300 millimeter ish. So, I mean, these days, yes. Back when ExoSlide was popular, 5-6 years ago, way back 5-6 years ago, when they were popular, it was probably the better choice. I think Ryan's probably more correct today that linear rails are so affordable that it makes more sense.
Yeah.
But also, too, machines don't come common these days with V wheels anymore either.
Yeah.
So those are starting to go away altogether because
Very rare
linear
now.
rails and rods are so cheap.
And even some of the more budget printers, like a perfect example, the Kingroom KP3,
Yes.
their cantilevered bed slinger printer has linear rails on all 3 axes.
Yep. I think I have exactly one machine that still has V wheels on it. It's a Lurge IX. So it's just a little small guy.
I was going to say, I don't even think I've heard of that brand name nor that printer.
All right, well, here, let me, it's right around the corner here. Let me grab it for you real fast. I'll show this thing to you.
I was going to say, we got 1, 2,
What's
3, 4 printers here that's still using V wheels.
Yeah, this guy. So it's a cantilever Core XY. The firmware is Lurge firmware. So it doesn't run Clipper, it doesn't run RepRap. It's its own thing. They sell kits that you can convert it over to linear rail, but I don't know that it's worth it. It's pretty cool. It comes exactly like you see it here. You just print the parts, but it does have the chains. I liked how the power supply was mounted on this one. So it's got a top mount, so it's not all floppity on here. I only made one mod to this, and Modbot actually used it when he built his Lurge, and that was to add the probe. So it didn't have a spot for a probe, so I modeled up a simple little arm to hold a probe on there, and then I made the hot end mount, basically the rest of this, with heat inserts on it so that it would not tear up the plastic every time. But it prints. It's pretty good. I want to say it's a 160 bed size, but V-wheel bed flinger.
And I want to say, you was talking about the first live streams you was doing was on that Mellow printer.
I think it's right over here.
Your video was the first time I had seen anything about that printer.
Which is why I wanted to stream it, because I knew that it wasn't anything out there. And I wanted to make something that I could be honest about my thoughts and share that, because I've been that person that is looking for information on an item, specifically a printer or something like a printer, and there's no information. So if I can kind of walk through it, answer questions live on stream, give my thoughts on it, then hopefully that's helpful to somebody. I think it came out after the Rat Rig V Minion, Ryan, slightly after. There's a Minion over here as well.
But I'll be right back.
No, you're good, man. We'll stay entertained on the chat over here. But I think Ryan, I think it's a kind of a competitor, so to speak, for the Rat Rig V Minion. I think around the same time you saw an Ender 2 become a reality. So finally, yeah, Ender 2 was a thing for a while. I think that's people wanted something small, and at the time, linear rails still weren't popular. So V wheels were a thing. Cantilever was a thing. Now it doesn't make any sense. That thing is slow. For modern printers, modern times, it's a slow machine. So I'm probably going to sell that one off or give it away to a kid or something. But for now, it's still here. Still works.
And another couple other videos that's coming up on the channel that's not quite necessarily builds per se.
Yeah.
I'm going to be going over, it's on the corner over here, Sonic Pad. This one here is already converted to Debian and full clipper. I'm going to do a comparison video comparing the stock Creality fork to the unlocked Sonic Pad, and then go over how to switch it to the Debian and stuff.
No, I'd be interested in that. I have a speeder pad over here that I've never used, never unboxed, and I've had it for over 2 years, probably close to 3 years, and I've never used it. My intent was to kind of set it up as a kind of a console to monitor all of my printers. I just kind of want to mount it kind of right here behind where I have this monitor right now, so that I can just see all my machines. I just never got around to doing that.
That's another good thing that I know can be done with the unlocked full Linux, full clipper screen setup, that I'm gonna test with the stock Sonic Pad first when I get it back. But I know you can set up the straight clipper screen stuff to where you can monitor via IP address without being connected to the tablet itself.
Okay. But yeah, I'm gonna look forward to your video. I need to do something with that thing or get rid of it. I'm in full clean out mode since we moved here. I think I gave away or trashed, I want to say 6 printers before coming out here, just to lighten the load a little bit. And so I went from something like, I hate to say it, like 28 down to like 22 is what I counted last week. So I'm trying to get down to probably 15.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to fit all of my printers in our car.
I'm out in the garage, man. Like, we got lots of room out here.
That is one thing. Every printer that is in here has been brought home in our car, so it will fit in a Ford Focus one way or another.
That's why I drive a Golf GTI, for the same reason.
44 miles to the gallon on the highway going to trips makes a big difference.
Yes, sir, it does. You only have 16?
I was going to say, I think we
counted pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers.
I was going to say, I think we're up to 10 printers, and we're up to 5 printers that are working currently.
That's good. That's good. I'm about halfway. I think I got 13 going right now. Now that the Trident's back going, I'm up to 13 or 14.
Which, of course, the newest, the Silval, pretty much can take the place of 2 or 3 of them non-working printers right now anyways.
Yeah. Hey, sell them off, man. Get rid of it.
14 which I did have 3 resin printers that I never used and sold for a profit afterwards that came as a bundle with the CR10 and another printer.
Yeah, I had 2 resin machines at one point. I had a Mono X, which is one of the larger like 9-inch machines. And then I got rid of that, gave it to a buddy. And then the one that I kept is a smaller one. So I could probably print, I don't know, like a cell phone on it. cell phone
Is that
sized
the
object
Monolith
on it.
X, the one that has the yellow top?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that was one of the ones that I had. That a Creality Halot and a Flash Forge something that
Yeah,
had the
it
red
just
top.
it was too messy for me. I didn't like the workflow on it. And honestly, I don't do a lot of miniatures and things like that, which is more what it is good for.
Yeah,
It's not great at printing functional things. And if you tried, it may come out warped. It wouldn't be accurate or as accurate as an FDM machine. So for what I do, what my skill set is, it didn't make sense for me to keep it. So I gave it to somebody that could use it.
and that was pretty much about the same reason why I never messed with them neither. Is because at the time there was only one area of prints that I was interested in, and resin is not something that you can use for those type of extreme use case scenarios. You need FDM materials that can handle those types of stresses and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
They are, like you said, good for folks that's into tabletop gaming, or another thing that what I was going to be using them for if I did get into them that I haven't seen a whole bunch of information or content on is using resin printing for custom gaming and computer accessories. Like I said, I come from a custom computer background. I used to do computer case mods before case mods was a thing, and you could just go to Walmart and every computer you see now has RGB lights and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So stuff like that, like custom, like I did see one person. For anybody that watches like computer tech type channels, is probably familiar with Linus Tech Tips out of Canada, and they did a custom water cooling loop out of resin, printed the actual lines for the water cooling to where they could get bends and stuff that you can't get just bending the stuff by hand.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, we've been going for about 2 hours now. I think this is a really good first joint stream and stuff, but I'll wind this down here. Give a big thanks to the folks that is out in the chat watching and the folks that came in earlier. A big thank you to Killer Prince for coming on the show today. And before we end it and stuff, I'm going to do like I always do on my Swamp Dog channel when I have guests. I'll give you full screen, let you do your pimping yourself out, what you got going on, your channels and stuff like that, any type of message you want to give.
All right. Well, I appreciate the opportunity. Like JPP was saying, I'm Killer Prince. I stream on Sunday mornings, mostly builds right now, trying to get started. For me, it keeps me on track. So if you want to find me anywhere, I'm the same call sign anywhere you go. Killer Prince on everything from Discord to Instagram to Twitter to Facebook. If you want to reach out and ask questions or just connect and share, find me, DM me. I'm a pretty open guy. I'm pretty approachable, I think. So if you can join us on a Sunday morning and spend an hour or two with us while we build something cool, I'd love to have you.
Yeah, that's the only downside is your shows is on Sunday mornings early-ish after staying up late for Dave and Terry's late night show. Yeah. But I have been able to catch the last couple of weeks streams and stuff.
You got to take a nap on Saturday. That's the trick.
Yeah, we actually end up doing that all the time because we just got done. We used to do deer processing all during deer season, pretty much all fall and winter and stuff. And that's every day, 6 a.m. Well, Melissa works at the convenience store across the street, and that's always closing time. So we'd always end up just taking a nap in the middle of the day, and that's kind of become our routine from doing that work.
Yeah.
Kayla,
I have a bad habit.
not everybody is wired like you.
Well, I have a bad habit of you can sleep when you die. So I wouldn't recommend it, but that's how I am. I'm always kind of high speed like that.
I
I'm a
used to
morning
be that
person
way
too.
until there was, I think, the longest I went was 9 days straight with no sleep, and then I was like, no, this don't quite work.
Never been that bad. Mine's about 40 hours is kind of my max. I do one of those jobs where sometimes you just got to keep going, and it was
Yeah.
one of those days where we had to keep going. So
There you go. But yeah, thank y'all for stopping by. We'll be doing the game night every Friday. Again, tomorrow's the next one. And keep an eye on the notifications because next week's going to be starting some of the build live streams. And I'll have a official scheduled next chatting live stream as well. And on that note, y'all be good.
see ya.